Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and today we're going to be taking a look at some really cool new Tyranid models that Games Workshop has just shown off. So they have the whole thing with the Battle of Ohgram, where you could write in your results from the Leviathan box, whether your Space Marines or Tyranids won, and then whichever side won the most battles would they get to see their new models revealed first. And the Tyranids won, and so today they were shown off. And there was a whole Twitch stream and everything, and you can go check that out yourself if you want to see that. I'll just skip all the videos and then just go straight to the photos of the models. So first off, it says here the original Xenos threat gets a facelift. Tyranid hive fleets float through the void of space, searching for biomass to consume. Space is a big place, and the Tyranids narrow their hunt with vanguard organisms who locate the juiciest planets for the main fleet to descend upon. So they revealed some new Genestealers, which I think is really cool. I always get a little bit confused with the name Genestealers because, you also have the Genestealer cults and all sorts of things. But I finally learned now that Genestealers are also just their very own thing in the Tyranid faction, which is cool. I don't think I haven't really looked much at the Genestealers from the Tyranids, just because the sculpts that are available right now from Games Workshop, they're slightly old, and I don't think they look particularly interesting. These new models, however, I think are really cool. It says here, Genestealers are one of these species of creature, vicious four-armed killers, which have existed almost as long as Warhammer 40,000 itself. And here we get to see all of the new Genestealers. So there are 10 different sculpts, as you might expect. And I actually think they look really cool, these ones. And look at the arms. They have like really long arms with claws on the ends and stuff, and they look really fast. As I said, I haven't really been much interested in the old type of Genestealers, the old range. So I don't really know exactly what they do on the battlefield, but from the look of these, they look like they are very fast and very melee oriented, and like they could really pack a punch. So I wonder if they are sort of the equivalent to like Orc Boys or something, except that my Orc Boys are definitely not very fast. I played a game against Eldar this week, and they were just shot off the board before, I think, I had 10 boys who made it into combat or something. That was it. Yeah, it was pitiful. So if you have some melee stuff that could be perhaps slightly faster, that would be awesome. But I digress. We are talking about Tyranids and Genestealers now. It also says here, these creatures range out in advance of the Tyranid hive fleet, inhabiting great space hulks that drift through space, which will inevitably attract the attention of greedy salvagers over time. They secrete themselves on scrap haulers and exploratory vessels that return to populated worlds, where they bed in undercover and spread their malign influence. This results in a Genestealer cult hoodwinked by the synaptic power of the Genestealer into believing that the Hive Fleet is a god sent to unshackle them from their drudgery. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so these are sort of the guys who make the Genestealer cults possible. So the Genestealer cults are like people who have been... they have met these lovely creatures and have been completely infected by them, and as they say, hoodwinked by the synaptic power of the Genestealer. That makes sense. I mean, that also makes sense then that you have Genestealers in the name of both ranges, I think. Yeah. I think they look really cool, particularly compared to the old ones. I had them up here. So these are the old models you can see up here, and I don't know when these were sculpted or anything, and I'm sure that the sculptor was like really good at their job and everything. It's just that the technology has moved so far beyond stuff like this that they seem old-fashioned and just a little bit, I don't know. not quite cool to me. I don't think the paint job does these much service either. I don't think it helps them out. With a really cool paint job, I bet they could still look pretty sweet. But they are showing their age, and I think it's really nice that they're getting an update. Yeah. I'm not quite sure I really love the color scheme that's going on here. I mean, I know it's really classic for the Tyranids. You have like the pinkish skin tone and the purple carapace and such. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that I'm not completely in love with on these guys. I think something else might look a little bit better. I don't know. But I mean, color schemes, that's always a personal preference thing. So, yeah. It also says here, in battle, these ferocious aliens are a blur of rending claws, able to tear even a mighty Terminator limb from limb with little resistance. That sounds cool. Yeah. I have a friend who has like an entire Terminator army, and I think it would be really fun just to see them torn limb from limb. That sounds cool. I'm sorry. This dynamic new kit refines the classic design, adding heavier carapace plates and a sense of terrifying motion through a range of new poses. There are even enough be-tentacled Imgal heads. Be-tentacled, I mean, yeah, so heads with tentacles, right? English is not my first language. I don't think I've ever seen the word be-tentacled before. I like it though. I'll definitely try and remember it and add it to my vocabulary. I'll need to come up with a way of using it all the time now. So there are enough of these be-tentacled Imgal heads included to outfit the whole unit, a not so the mysterious variant first encountered on the moons of Imgal. Oh, so you can get like tentacle heads on every single one of these. I prefer that like hugely over the normal heads. It has this really awesome Cthulhu-like feel to it, and I also much prefer this paint job over the other paint job. I mean, both are done really well. They are obviously painted by excellent painters. I just prefer this color scheme, the darker one. I know it sounds a little bit strange. I usually go for the like really bright colors, but on this one I prefer this the darker color scheme. Actually, I think it looks much more terrifying somehow. Yeah. Cool. New Genestealers. Then we have some Hormagaunts and Termagants. And it says here, the Termagants and Hormagaunts flood the battlefields of the worlds the hive mind has targeted for consumption, a swarming press of bodies that frequently prevails through sheer weight of numbers. We've already seen new push-fit Termagants, as well as specialized Barbgaunts and Neurogaunts included with the Leviathan box, but now Termagants and Hormagaunts are receiving brand new sets of their own. Okay, so we had the, as I said, the push-fit versions for the Leviathan set, and now you get probably like multi-option plastic kits, which is, I think that's what you usually see, isn't it? You have like the big launch boxes with push-fit monopose stuff, and then you get the slightly more advanced versions later on their own, which is cool. I mean, so yeah, but we've already seen a lot of these models, so they're just slightly more specialized and slightly more perhaps you're able to sort of kit them out a little bit more individually like you want them to. I don't know, I haven't seen the sprues and stuff. But yeah, that's cool. I think these guys are new, perhaps. Yeah, so it says here, the full Termagant kit includes a wide range of weapons, flesh borers, I love that name, spine fists, devourers, shard launchers, strangle webs, and spike rifles. Now that's a war gear selection we haven't seen for many, many years. Okay, so yeah, you have just more weapon options and stuff, which is always cool. I haven't played that much 40k. I tried to get into 9th edition, and I did play quite a few games, but I never really felt at home with it. And I've played 4 games of 10th edition, and I still have a hard time, getting all the weapon options straight. And I can't just look at a Space Marine, for instance, and tell by a glance what kind of weapon they have. So I'm always a little bit surprised at what different units can do. So I would be even more confused by all of this, but I think it looks cool. Definitely, like from a painting standpoint and model-wise, it looks really cool. I like all the like fleshy wires stuff thing going on here. Some proper body horror stuff, which is cool, which is I think very much in line with the Tyranids. So I think these are a nice sort of upgrade from the Leviathan box, definitely. Yeah, that's really cool. We also have the Tyranid Hormagaunts as they look now, and again, I mean, there's not much of a competition here between the new and old ones, I think. So it's great to see that they get an update. Then we have the Lictor and the Neurolictor. And it says here, stealthy Lictors leap out of the shadows. Sometimes even the ineffable mind of the High Fleet is aware that a little finesse and blood-curdling terror is more effective than weight of numbers it tends to prefer as the ultimate solution to every problem. I like also weight of numbers, but then again I'm an orc player, so finesse is, well, that is definitely not what's going on in my orc army, that's for sure. So it says here, creatures like von Ryan's Leapers and Lictors are stealthy slaughterers evolved for the express purpose of infiltrating deep into enemy territory and launching gory assaults at the perfect time to sow maximum disorder. They've been given an exquisite makeover and have even received a brand new brainy variant. Yeah, so these are cool. If we just quickly take a look at the old Lictor, the one that's available now. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. It's just really showing its age. It's just old, and it's just done with the technology that was available at the time when it was sculpted. I'm sure the sculptor is really excellent at his or her job. It's just an old sculpt, and it shows. I couldn't, of course, do anything like just a tenth of this. Well, I'm not a great sculptor at all. Yeah. But this is the old one, and then when we compare it to the new one, there's just no comparison. I think this looks really cool. And again, it has the bee-tentacled head, which I like. I mean, I like the Cthulhu aesthetic. Cthulhu, it's very difficult to say, Cthulhu aesthetic, which is always cool to me. And it looks like it's very agile, and it looks like it's very killy at the same time, and that is just always that is always great. You can never be sad when you see something like this. I actually, though, as I said, this looks very lithe and very agile, and then the red and blue-black variant here, it looks a little bit more beefy, and I'm always slightly inclined to go with the beefier option if there is one, and so I actually think this looks better. I'm not, but again, I don't know, the very classic Tyranid color scheme, it just doesn't really do it for me, so there is perhaps also a preference for this color scheme, I'm not sure. But they look, they both look really cool, and I'll take like 2 of each at least. Yeah, I think these look awesome. And then they said here, the hive mind has not rested on its sinewy laurels since creating the perfect assassin, however. Carefully orchestrated evolution has created a new strain of Lictor, a psychological horror whose highly developed neural organs emit a wave of psychic dread that causes even the most iron-willed warriors to experience an atavistic terror response. These psychic abilities grant them the ability to mask their presence by confounding their enemy's senses, rendering them hapless when the main Tyranid force arrives to finish the job. Cool. I also really like the I forgot what it's called now, but the brainy beast from the Leviathan box, and so this seems to be a sort of a slightly more probably a slightly smaller and more agile version of that same thing, and it's just awesome to me. I like the exposed brain underneath the carapace. That just looks cool. Really cool. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it has a bee-tentacled head, which is now something I want to see on every single model I own, just so I get to use that word. No, not quite. Oh, it just looks so horrible. Look at the, I don't know, tail thing, tentacle, scorpion tail, whatever it is, growing out of the brain. It just looks so awful. I love it. This is really cool. The apex of the Lictor bioform is the Death Leaper. I think that's the one we saw before, which was by far my favorite Tyranid model that had been shown off so far. A rare evolution that has stalked battlefields for decades now, like some chitinous spectre. It's even evolved to get a cool flesh cape, striking an even more fearsome figure than ever before. Yeah, I loved everything about the Death Leaper. It was just cool. I want 2 of the other ones, and then I'll just take 20 of these. No, probably not. But I think it looks really cool. That's for sure. With all of these creatures, while all of these creatures can find a home in the standard Invasion Force detachment, they excel in the Vanguard Assault detachment, one of the new detachments you can look forward to in Codex Tyranids. So that's cool. Yeah, so we get to see a new codex soon-ish, I guess, alongside these new models. Then we have the Biovore and Pyrovore. So big new artillery pieces, which is always nice to have. A Tyranid invasion is an experience of true and unrelenting horror. The sky darkens as fleshy spore pods rain down from the heavens, expelling toxic clouds and ravenous beasts. On the ground, gigantic monsters lumber forth to crack open vital fortifications, allowing a flood of alien bioforms to devour those within. Yes. All the while, the beleaguered defenders must contend with Tyranid ordnance, living munitions delivered by living artillery. For this purpose, the hive mind spawns such creatures as exocrines, tyrannofexes, and now the newly evolved Biovores and Pyrovores. Okay, so these are already existing models in the Tyranid range. So if we get, this is the Biovore, and this is the old Biovore, and again, this definitely is getting on in years, as you can clearly see, both from the sculpt itself and also from the paint job. It's a long way from the standard of what you see on new model releases today, and there is nothing wrong with it. It's well done and everything. It's just really, really old. So yeah. This just looks like a big fleshy, I don't know, it looks like something I might imagine fitting in with Nurgle or something. It just looks like this big fleshy dude crawling along the ground with a cannon strapped to his back. And I don't think it looks terrifying. It looks a little bit goofy. It does. I'm sorry, but I think it does. Whereas this doesn't look goofy at all. I think this looks really sweet. It looks like either a beetle or a spider. I mean, I guess spiders have 8 legs and beetles don't have 6 legs. I can't remember. There is something spidery about the way the legs are positioned, I think, and then it just has this giant cannon on its back. And as I said before, the standard sort of paint or color scheme for the Tyranids isn't just quite up my alley, but I think it works really well here, just because there is so much more of the carapace than of the sort of more, I guess, fleshy parts on the legs and the heads. Oh, look also at the front of the head. It's got like pinches, like it looks gross. It's horrible. And then it's got this big flesh cannon, and you can see sort of the mouth of the flesh cannon. There's just all sorts of nasty things going on there. And also look at the big sack of, I don't know what, it looks like a big sack of pots of some sort of really toxic kind hiding away. It's like a big fleshy sack. You can almost imagine it like in the is it Starship Troopers, where they have this big giant beast where it's just like fleshy contractions spewing out nasty stuff. Ugh, it's gross. I hate it. I hate it so much. I want one. I'll take 3 at least. This is really cool. I really like it. I think it's nasty, but I like it. And then we have the Pyrovore, on the other hand, is a creature designed to help its hive fleet pre-digest the toughest minerals and biomass, like a mother bird chewing up worms for its chick if the worms were ceramide-clad space marines. Oh, this also sounds really gross. So it's basically the same model, slightly different pose, or is it just taken from a different angle? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, slightly different pose, but more or less the same sort of general beast, but then with a different gun on the back. The beast's network of stomachs gurgles with biochemical nastiness, which drools from its acidic maw and erupts from its dorsal symbiote as caustic jets of flammable gas. A Pyrovore can engulf entire squads in chemical fire, melting armor and flesh ahead of consumption. Disgusting but effective. The hive mind clearly hasn't found time to evolve its table manners. These are both awful. I hate them. I hate them so much. Look at the sack of nasty goo also on the back of this one. Ugh. Yikes. It's terrible. It's amazing. Frankly, I think it's amazing. I really like these. And then the last thing we have, these are, I believe, completely new models. They don't have models in the existing range. And it says here, amongst the teeming multitude of ravenous horrors that make up the Tyranid hive fleets, there are few towering beasts that stride above the swarm, the will of the hive mind made manifest in an abhorrent behemoth. The latest of these are the Norn Emissary and the Norn Assimilator, creatures spawned when the hive mind has a crucial goal it simply must accomplish. Look at this. I like this so much. I really like the Death Leaper. As I said, that was my favorite of everything from the new Tyranid range. But I'm a simple sort of person. The bigger the better. Like when I'm painting, the brighter the better. The bigger the better, the happier I just get. I like big beasts. I love big behemoths. I love like big dragons and big tanks and big bugs, apparently. Big space bugs. This looks cool. Look at this. I mean, there's just so many things going on, and again, because it has so much of the carapace and stuff, I like the color scheme on this one. I would probably, I mean, I would definitely not paint it like that, but I really think the color scheme works on this particular model. That's for sure. Oh, look at that! Look how cool it is! Look at all the tentacles coming out of the back, and the sort of scorpion stinger on its tail, and the claws in the front, and then it also has like sort of humanoid-like hands, so you can imagine it being able to manipulate stuff that you need hands to manipulate. Oh, it looks cool! And then you have like a giant horn on top of its head, and you got some sort of brainy stuff going on as well. I mean, it has everything I like about the new Tyranid models. This is so sweet. This is really sweet. Before battle, the Norn Queen imbues this Goliath with the distilled knowledge it needs to succeed in its mission, which it prosecutes with a combination of brute strength and incredible psionic power, backed up by a frankly unnatural degree of agility for a creature of its size. It looks so sweet. It's so big and it's just like a big honking Tyranid dragon-esque thing. Look at it. I really think, I mean, the face just reminds me of dragons for some reason, and I love me some big dragons, so it just doesn't have the wings, but other than that, I think it's like a big space bug dragon. Give it to me. I mean, I said I wanted like 2 of each of all the rest of the stuff. I'll take 10,000 of these. I don't think I have room in my house for 10,000, but they're so sweet. I mean, it just looks so cool. It's a space dragon. It's a space bug dragon. I love it. If the Norn Emissary is the brainy avatar of the Hive Fleet, the Norn Assimilator is its raw strength made flesh. When the Hive Fleet has decided that a particular prey creature or fortification must be eliminated, it sends forth an inexhaustible Norn Assimilator. This is also cool. I'm not too. I'm not much. I'm not too big of a fan of the paint job on this one. For some reason I don't know, but I mean the model itself it just still looks really cool, and it's really big. I wonder how big it is exactly. They said in the stream that it was the biggest of the Tyranid. That it would be like the biggest model in the Tyranid range, and the Screamer Killer is a big model, and so if this is even bigger, it's a giant model. They said it wasn't quite as big as a knight, but that it could easily shred a knight to pieces, which I think is really cool. I love that. I love stuff that can destroy knights. In the face of such raw alien power, running is the only sensible decision. In its infinite alien wisdom, the hive mind has already thought this through, so the Norn Assimilator packs a pair of massive tox injector harpoons to pinion its prey in place. Ew, look at these. Oh, that looks gross. I mean, the whole thing is gross, but these things projecting... It also looks very painful, like when you have like these little harpoons like coming out of your body. That must be quite painful, I think. I don't know. Luckily I've never tried it. I think I prefer the Norn Emissary. I think it looks a little bit better, but yeah, it just looks a little bit more imposing to me somehow. I'm not sure, but it might also be the angle that they have shown the model off from. So that it's difficult to say for sure. But I like both of them a lot. Now, I do think I like the Emissary most, just because it has like all the big horns and stuff on its head, and this has a head that just looks a little bit smaller, and this looks more imposing to me with the with all the brains and stuff also coming out of the back. Yeah, a big brainy bug dragon. I don't know. Yeah, so these are the last of the reveals, and I think they wisely showed them off from small, but something like the Genestealers were they're just small dudes, but they are really beloved by a lot of people who are into the Tyranids, and so it was a great way of starting off. And then they showed some smaller stuff of the Termagants, the Hormagaunts, the Lictors, and then they ended on a really high note, at least in my opinion, with the Biovores, Pyrovores, and then these Norn Emissaries and Assimilators. And I am definitely a big fan of this giant creature here. It just looks so cool to me. I love it. It also looks like something that would take ages to paint, even if you use contrast paints and stuff. But at the same time, yeah, I think it would be worth it, even just as a painting project, and not necessarily to play with if you don't have an entire Tyranid army. I just think I would love to paint this particular model. I think it would be so much fun. So yeah, those were the Tyranid reveals today. So we can look forward to seeing the Space Marine reveals at some point later on. I also really hope that they will have really big stuff to show off, like these Norn Emissaries and Norn Assimilators. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So let me know in the comment section what you think of these new Tyranid models. Are there any particular models that you like the most? What are your favorites? Are there some things you are disappointed that they did not show off, or where you think, I don't really like that particular new sculpt? Let me know in the comments, and we can have a nice little discussion there. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!